Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3, and this is episode number 9. We are still with Ashante as we are getting into the later phase of this game. But there's time. There is time left. We've got about 45 years left to play. Our next target, Damagaram, we weren't able to get in the last episode, but one of the enemies that remain in our way could potentially be out of the way here momentarily. Meanwhile, our economy continues to grow. We've put a few burdens on it to help us, but at the same time, we have seen the right type of scenario gains out of that one. Next thing, though, is definitely that third attempt on Damagaram. We've taken a lot of the potential enemies and made friends out of them. A lot of them. So let's see, what we can do about making it happen. Ooh, I thought we had 5. They keep making us like them. They keep working to make us like them. So we're going to have to, once again, get in there on Damagaram and make them not like us. Yeah, plus 46 again. Expelling the diplomats will bring us down immediately where we need it to be and make the play possible. Now, right now, it looks like Wadai and Russia would probably side with the enemy, and Russia jumped in last time even without that similar prompting. Sokoto and Bornu would likely become enemies as well, but as they like us, there's a chance we keep them out of it. Now, if it's just Damagaram and Bornu, we've got it covered. That's a pretty big if. That's a pretty big if. But there's nothing we can do. I mean, relations are maxed out with Russia. Wadai I don't really care about, so this time both Sokoto and there you go, Sokoto drops out and decides not to support, so Bornu stays by their side. So we do have a chance here. We do have a chance of this playthrough happening, but the escalation continues into that second phase. Nobody jumping in so far, just them and Bornu. France back on the fence instead of leaning towards supporting us. Great Britain has offered their support, and that's it. We're going to have to back down yet again. Russia looks like they'd be a really nice one, or the US would be a nice one to have on our side, but as nobody is ready to join us, that's it. Another attempt gone. We were in this status before, and it didn't pan out until it did. And France just decided to double what we owe them on a monthly basis. I have to pay war reparations for the backing down? Oh, that's weird. And France is charging more. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. But we've got it covered. The increased taxes. That's not going to be good with the radicals. Well, there's another lesson learned. So backing down is essentially giving the war goal away to your enemy. I've not seen that one previously. Not having those war reparations will make a big difference to our economy. It's kind of silly. Britain now facing turmoil. Could this be an opportunity for us if they have some internal strife? By the way, Great Britain controlling a large swath of land now, but also France. You can see it's Central Africa where they are really, really taking control, different from the play that we saw last time. But now Darfur has two borders that are impacted. Damagaram, that would open this playthrough so much if we were able to conquer Damagaram. And shoot, here comes the US going into air. So now it won't. So what we had for an opportunity will no longer have for an opportunity much longer here. Damagaram, conquer that. That's one state. So that's the whole thing. Yes, it looks similar to our size, but we have 3 states and an ounce of a fourth. That's one state. We would have the whole thing. And then you could colonize air. And then you could attack Bornu or Wadai. And then Bagirmi, and then take Sokoto. I mean, you can be the inner West African power. But now that the US has decided to colonize air, that's going to cut us off from the colonization. I was looking at that colonization as kind of our last big effort to do something here as Ashanti. Conquering Sokoto is going to be pretty difficult, but could be another play. What the just happened? The construction goods were already there. The gold reserves are just fine, so we're not paying anything. What just happened to see our income tank? The income is tanking, not the expenses look to be roughly the same. The subsidies were there, the military wages were there, the government wages was like 4,000, 3.99 or something like that. So it's actually looks like it's gone down by a few hundred. Goods for military buildings was 300. It's gone down by a couple hundred. The subsidies, I think, was closer to 2,000, and the diplomatic pax is less than what it was. Now the construction's already there as a temporary expense, but it was already there. It's not a new. So what has happened is that we have a change. We have a change in income. Our income has gone down significantly, but let's hope that's temporary. Yeah, the expenses part on France was closer to 6. It's already dropped to 4.5. We are going to keep a very close eye on this one. Has something happened with the French market? I'm guessing something's happened with the French market that is seeing a steep decline in the prices of things. And yes, it is. We have revolution. Communist France is nearly complete. Therefore, the market is tanking horribly right now. What kind of reserves do we have? 1.4 million. And Communist France is going to win. Communist France is going to win over quite soon. We ourselves have a revolution brewing as a result. Well, I think we need to cancel the agrarianism right now. Still brewing. Do we need to get the landowners back in government? The armed forces and the devout. Right. They were in my government. Now they're not. We already have no legitimacy. We might as well try to appease them. Nobody's happy. We can't get the armed forces in right now while they're angry. We can maybe get the devout in. Let's get our legitimacy back up. Get the landowners back in charge. There we go. Let's get that legitimacy back up. Our radicals just flew. Wow. This has been a bad year, folks. It's been a really bad year for us. About all of this because a French Revolution is going to lead to a revolution within our own country in 5 months, and there's nothing we could do. And if the government is in, it's not gaining anymore. It's not gaining. Okay, they want to enact censorship. I think we might have to go for it. Support is high. Radicalism is absurd. Can we? Yeah, heavy support. And legitimacy is back up. Okay. Yeah, we're seeing a slow drop now. What is this one going to do for us? Authority goes up. Technology spread goes down. Not a happy fan of that one. And we're going to see big suppression and bolstering of groups based on this. But revolution will be avoided. The group of radicals are falling off very, very quickly here. But our debt is rather huge. Down to 1.27 million and dropping quickly. Let's hope this revolution ends rather fast. Again, the economy in the state it is because we are not making money, because the French economy is absolutely devastated at the moment with this war. So we need it to end. It's really good that we had a lot of gold reserve built up over time, but it is really bad that this continues. We need that war to end very quickly. And passing the law should do. These radicals. Oh, for a second I thought it was done. Okay, Communist France has the sort of logo in the middle there. Darker blue. Or paler blue, I guess you might call it. It looks like they ultimately will win. Even though Communist France got the early head start, the standard, regular France has an advantage on every front. So they are going to progress, they are going to gain. But the worrying thing is they don't hold much territory right now. So advancing on these three fronts will not be easy. But they do hold Paris, or are about to reclaim Paris anyway. That could help open our market back up a bit if once they reclaim Paris. Hopefully, you would think. Look at that, our landowners are right back up to 44%. So much for our goals to move forward. And Communist France is down to virtually nothing in terms of forces right now. Paris has been reclaimed. Okay, we have censorship. We have succeeded there. We have avoided the catastrophe that was coming, radicalizing the intelligentsia and the trade unions a bit more, but they are very much on the marginalized side. I mean, they do not have much clout. So for that, we're going to be okay. The devout's happy, the armed forces are happy, and the landowners are happy. Our economy is still very much not happy. Ooh, 50 units for the communists there, but losing to 27. The communist forces have very much put forward some additional units here, but they are losing on every front, handily. So their units are just not of the same strength. They're the pitchfork variety. They might have a lot of people, but they are, let's say, of a lower class. It's not the same level of troops. Strasbourg has been reclaimed. And we're down to 1 million in gold reserves. It's dropping fast, folks. We can't. It's already increased. And the radicals are so ridiculously high. What's that? Yeah, that's not going to do much. Can't afford to go down either, though. We have 320. Consumption taxes. Okay, that's going to help some. That's going to help some. Trying not to radicalize everybody. The Damagaram issue won't go away for a while yet. We're not having to pay France as much right now. I mean, there's that. Hello! It's done. I don't know how when they had the advance, but France has flipped. So France is now going to be communist. Or are they? Did they just win? Maybe they just won. Flag is back to the same. They've dropped to number 5. From number 1 to number 5. Let's get back to improving relations. We are now neutral. I'm thinking it's a new France. It'd be nice if we could get independence back. Certainly can't force it. Alright, the economy is slowly recovering. The deficit is getting better and better. Okay, it is getting better. It's still a deficit, but it's not like it was. Not like it was. Okay. We are under the rule of a different France now. Our level of radicals is a bit high right now. It is a bit high, but it's dropped by 100,000 already within the last year. As we did deal with the problem, we are going to have to wait for that to come down. The economy is safe. The economy is safe. A third of our resources have depleted, our gold reserve resources, but let's support the rural folk, because that's a group that we've been trying to get behind for a while. Okay, status, economy looking better. What can we do here? No, that would be too much of a decline right now. We could turn that into 5. It would use more. We'd go from fabric and wood to tools, fabric, wood, and iron. It would cost more, but I don't think it would cost much more. See what difference it would make. I mean, right now the cost is quite high at 3. There you go. There's the new cost. Cost would go up by 1,000. So the new cost would be 1,000 more than what it was before. However, we would go plus 3. Construction goods are definitely an issue. I mean, they're costly. We don't quite have that covered at the moment. That's always something we can turn off. However, this is going to go away. The Damagaram. War reparations. Find out how much longer we need to pay them money for not attacking them. So we have 2 years left that we are actively paying Damagaram for not attacking them, which is a little silly, but at the same time, I get it. We were forced into backing down and therefore conceding. But it's not like they turned around and were aggressive to us to get us to do something. It was somebody else. It's okay. I get it to an extent. I understand it. I understand why that happens. I could understand Russia stepping in and going, no, you're going to pay them instead of the other way around. But I don't know. That's kind of silly. I'm going to attack you. I'm preparing to attack you. I want your land. Give me your land. No, you don't want to give me your land? I'm going to attack you. Oh, somebody bigger and stronger saying that I'm not going to let you do that. Okay, goodbye. Right, that should be that, right? Goodbye. They leave you. But I have a feeling that that's your bigger force, your Russia, right, or your Great Britain in these last couple of instances, going, yeah, wait a second, I'm going to grab your clothes there and drag you back. Let's chat. I see where they're coming from. I think there should be a chance that happens, and maybe not an automatic, and that you would get some sort of after report that states, oh, by the way, Great Britain said you're going to pay war reparations, or by the way, you back down without consequence. I think that would be more realistic, because there's been many a times in history where somebody has aggressively laid claim only to think twice and, back down and step off with literally nothing ever happening. With the economy improving, I'm going to take a risk here and drop back down to medium taxes. We need to stop making enemies. We really, really need to stop making enemies. And with an almost neutral, and even already starting to make positive balance again, this is going to be a good way to start bringing those radicals back down, hopefully rather quickly. Please. please. We could also take a break from construction if need be, as we'd have plenty of money rolling in if we only took a break. Currently taking a little bit of a break from construction, and it is seeing our balance look very healthy. In the short term, we want to get back up over 1 million at least. In fact, it's doing even better. So helping those gold reserves restore their way back towards 1.5 million at least. I want to get above that one, and then we'll go back to some others. The diplomatic play, we are in the final months of the Damagaram peace, and owing them funds, which is, at that point, and actually realistically, even now, we can get right back to what we were doing. But number of radicals, it's still declining, slowly but surely, getting back towards normal. And we're finally starting to see some GDP growth, as we saw that huge hit thanks to the French Revolution. Motor industry is one we are not involved in at all. I'm going to go ahead and get us involved in the motor industry, and it looks like our logging camp could grow. Just about all of these guys. The railway slowly doing better, even with the construction center active once again. The balance is healthy. We are back into the good area. We're neutral on the taxation. We're neutral on everything else. and we're paying for construction, and we're subsidizing railroad. And actually, we're still paying Damagaram. Nope, just went away. Under 600,000, but that is still a lot. That's still a lot. We're going to need the full bay. We're migrating to Indiana, of all places. By the way, there is that colonization of air nearly cut off there at Damagaram, so that's not going to happen much longer. I've not tried to make a play on Oyo at this point, and Oyo is totally free, independent. They have no relations with anyone. And with a little event, our rank went up quite a bit. We went up from 101st to 86th in the rankings with a plus 22 prestige. And overall, we were at 44 at the start of this episode, so it's gone up with a few things. That plus 20 for a new national anthem was quite helpful for that, though. Our rank is still quite limited, though, as we are stuck when it comes to being the underling of France. So until we take care of these radicals, there's not much we can do to piss off the populace, because they're already pretty well angry. We just have to wait for those numbers to go away, to decline, to just leave them happy in their current state, which means realistically we can't touch the government. We're going to have to just continue growing and expanding our economy, and taking advantage of it, at least the fact that we are in that French market that has done us a world of good outside of the time of the revolution that they faced. But at the rate we're going, we might actually be able to turn down, as the gold reserves are nearly, we've recovered half of what we lost in a very short period of time. We might be able to turn down the taxation to not just keep people neutral, but make them happy. What would it take? 3.7. We're not far from that. Legitimacy would go plus 5, and radicals would drop by 10%. Where we're at, it just doesn't increase. Where it was a 25% increase that we had to raise that. I think we probably could get away with paying these guys more. What would that do for us? Approval increase would be minor. Same with the military. Plus 2 is not that much, though. How's everybody feeling about us these days? Landowners back to happy, loyal, plus 13. What do we get for that plus 13, by the way? A little information on that one. So an interest group's approval depends on two main factors: how much of their political strength comes from radicals compared to loyalists, and how well the country's current laws match with the interest group's ideologies. In addition, if a new law is currently being enacted, approval will be affected by a larger temporary adjustment, which will linger while decaying for up to 60 months after it has passed. An interest group's approval impacts which interest group traits they activate. Angry interest groups contribute to the radicalism of political movements, while interest groups that are at least happy will refrain from joining movements in the first place. So, as they are loyal, they won't radicalize. That's it. That's all we have. It's not really doing much from us. And activating traits. Please oblige. Plus 20% aristocrats. Family ties. Plus 20%. Okay, we have plus 20% influence. That's not necessarily useful for us. And I'm glad we don't have that one. That's if they are unhappy. So here's our plus 10. This one's a plus 5. This is a plus 10. So we're getting plus 20% aristocrats investment pool. Landowners are up to over 10,000, by the way. The rural folk, nothing is active right now. The devout are at least happy. We get divine right for that. Plus 10% authority. I think that's how we got back to a positive balance there. Because that was how we got to a negative balance in the first place, was they stopped being happy. You learn new things. The armed forces. Military tech would go down if we could make them happy. Would love to make the intelligentsia happy. I would love to have them in the government. I would love to have them have a say. They just don't have much clout. Maybe we need to expand the university. Maybe it's time for that. Society tech cost would go down. That certainly would be a good thing. Migration attraction would go up if we made them very happy. Who are our marginalized groups? The trade unions, the industrialists, and the petite bourgeoisie. They're happy, but they are a very small group. We would have additional bureaucracy if they had more clout. Consumption-based taxation. Slave trade. Slave trade could pass. Right now we have debt slavery, though. Mass conscription. We could do outlawed dissent, which would be a progression on the censorship. That has a lot of support. Professional army actually would be an easy pass right now. Maybe that's a good thing to do. Nobody's against it. Okay, professional army. Alright, let's go ahead and make radicals go away. Minus 10% on radicals. 552,000. Let's watch that number plummet. Meanwhile, with double the construction effort and going, full speed ahead with one upgrade after another, we are seeing our GDP climb rapidly, now hitting 7 million, where the population is just slowly increasing, but the number of radicals has dropped by nearly 200,000, and our overall rank has jumped to 36th. Prestige up to an 85. We are adding our second sulfur mine, by the way. It's not making a ton of money, but it is doing well. It's just not terribly profitable for us. Let's check in on state by state, see how everybody's doing. Ashanti Volta has just the textile mill and 2 arable land units, but we're about to use up one of those. We could put some barracks in there. It has nothing right now. Population at 58,000 and finally growing. I mean, that was one thing that it just wasn't growing. It was 60,000 at the end of the colonial era, and then nothing happened. And wow, first go, we have a professional army. Ghana has over 800,000 now, and the population is growing quite quickly. It's not growing as fast in Togo, but it is doing okay here, 700,000. And then Dahomey, which was the largest population, is now second largest, and it's not far behind. Standard of living in Dahomey is 13.2. Togo is 13.4. Ghana, 16.9, doing quite well. And 15.7 in Ashanti Volta. Did not know that it had climbed higher than the others. Togo is where we're going to want to see some improvements, and how do we do that? I think that's going to be based on who you have, what you have going on for you, and this is probably our limitation, right? Furniture factory, it's fully employed, doesn't have a ton of cash reserves because it's not terribly productive, but as the one that is making the most money, maybe we need to double it. We're going to get a couple rubber plantations on the go there. We already do have 2 sulfur mines here. The logging camp we doubled. If we expand some industries, expand the barracks, it's time. We have not expanded the military at all, other than adding Dahomey as a province. Here's a different overview of what our population looks like right now. Overall population 2.37 million and climbing. Not rapidly, but it's definitely climbing. 500,000 are politically involved. We're at that 14.8, almost at that 15. I mean, that's a pretty happy zone. Our standard of living is quite high compared to other small nations. It is quite high. A lot of politically inactive, but that's fairly normal anyway. The lower strata at 13.9, and that's one of the big things is we need to get more people out of the lower strata to do well, because the middle strata is at 22.1 and the upper strata 30.9. The affluent people are decently comfortable. Slaves are still 19%, and if we could get rid of slavery, boy oh boy, would that do a lot to boost us up. Farmers make up more than a quarter, same with the aristocrats. Surprising, that's high. Laborers, 20%. overall for the entirety of the nation, Akin is 55%. Fawn making up a lot of the rest. And the political strength lies almost entirely in the Akin. 2/3 anyway. Checking back in on who it is that's angry. And the Akin are very much among those that are angry right now. But again, it's on the decline. We were well over 500,000 just a few months ago. It's down to 476. The Fawn, still more happy. The Yoruba, the Fulbe remain among the highest, but the Fulbe, the last Sunni group, they're down to 380,000. Their population is quite small within our nation. We've pushed back up to that 15 on that standard of living. That gets you into a wholly different category. I'd really love to stay there, but that GDP down under 7, so it's not growing at the moment. But those radicals almost down under 450,000. It's good progress for over the last year, bringing that down quite a bit. And where the gold reserves is back to where it was pre-French Revolution. We just saw a big hit in something. Something just got expensive or money fell off. I have to go back to neutral on the taxes here in a little bit. It's nice to see that our territory, our states are doing pretty okay. I mean, we have a way bigger economy than what we had. Again, the GDP side of things not looking good at the moment. That national revenue is something's hitting again. Radicals are still high throughout the nation, but still declining. The landowners are losing some clout right now. So far, my attempt at making a play on Oyo has not progressed for a couple of reasons. One, relations are too high, and I'm trying to bring relations down just the easy way, just lower relations. But they are countering that by trying to raise relations. So they remain at a 38 right now, locked in on neither one of us backing down at the moment. So they are countering our decreased relations with a raised relations. I could theoretically expel diplomats and bring them down, but I'm a little bit afraid of trying to do too much in terms of hurting our standing, in the world. We actually have zero fame right now. We are not infamous at all, so it actually really wouldn't hurt. Alright, so we have expelled the diplomats of Oyo. That's going to also stop their diplomats from countering us. It's still neutral, but that does leave an opening to try to do something. And looking back, diplomatic status, there's nothing doing with anyone. No one has an interest in Oyo, but there's plenty of nations that have interest in the region. So they may or may not want to intervene. It looks like most would stay out of it. We could end up finding ourselves having to pay reparations again, though. But Girmi might step in with them. They've got almost no units. Oyo might only have 8 units, but they have a fairly high power projection, considering it's only 8 units. They're definitely funding something better, something more. But Russia, Prussia, the U.S., Netherlands, Sokoto, could all intervene. So we're taking a chance here, folks. Taking a chance. Bornu, but Girmi would die all leaning. Sokoto leaning. No one's leaning our way. No supporting countries. a third of the way through, but none of those that were leaning with them have necessarily backed down yet either. All of the nations that could join in are still technically available, and Russia, who wasn't even leaning this way, that, or anything, decides they are going to join in, and that's it. We're gonna have to back down, and we're gonna get stuck paying war reparations again. Sizable war reparations for. Looks like the U.S. is gonna take the rest of air, or a big chunk of it. Yeah, big nations just keep standing in our way on making things very difficult. We now have 5 years of negative balance to overcome. We could go back to neutral. We'll definitely cover it off. But we can let it run deficit for a while, as we have plenty in gold reserves. Radicals almost down to 400,000. That's still a hefty number, but we did have, what was it, like 230, 220? Before that whole, we're going to force you to pass a law that's going to send you the wrong direction. And the wrong direction politically is definitely where we've gone. I have not figured out how to manufacture support within the interest groups. Right? I have not seen some sort of way at the moment to get them to like you, to sway them in your direction before things happen. One thing I am trying to do right now is get new modifiers like plus 10% to minting, which should see our minting go up from 3.9 to maybe 4.25, and that'll help with the that balance deficit. There's another one that's going to take 16 years to research, though, because we are terrible in that department. Another reason to get another university on the go. This stuff's going to take 3 years too. Sure enough, minting climbing. Not as much as I expected it, but it could be a matter of time. Looks like the modifier on that one wasn't on whatever the grand total is. It's on the base. So it did bring it up some, but not a lot. So we had been boosted to an unrecognized regional power with the recent prestige gains, but that's going to fall off. The national anthem plus 20 is gone. And so we have gone from 75 prestige back down to 55. So we are going to lose that status as an unrecognized regional power. Before we wrap this episode up, a few things. First off, our rank is right back down where it was now that we have poor prestige once again. Our balance still has not fixed itself, but the gold reserves are still healthy enough. It's still 1.3 million. I wouldn't let it fall below 1 million, but as long as we are making radicals disappear, I'm happy with taking a bit of a loss until Oyo is, until we're done having to pay Oyo for the right to have not attacked them, and then get back to a positive balance and get those gold reserves right back up into a happy place. And meanwhile, just seeing the radicals dissipate more and more. But in the meantime, the big thing here is 1903. We have 33 years left in the playthrough. It's a 100-year playthrough. We are 2/3 of the way through. That's the big thing. So we are into the final third. We're into the final phase. Politically, our government is deadlocked. The landowners have too much power, and we have not been able to overcome that to make anything else happen, to go in the direction we want to go. Damagaram, Oyo, doesn't matter which one we try to play, we are too small of a fish in a big pond of Africa that sees too many big Western powers with interest that keep blocking us. And it turns out that they don't just block us, and it's not just a matter of waiting 5 years, as we found out here. It comes with a penalty. It comes with paying reparations as if you had lost the war. Ouch. on that front. Very ouch on that front. So, lessons learned. That's the whole point of taking a playthrough like this, is getting those lessons learned, growing, doing more. We have absolutely figured out how to run an economy over these last 2 playthroughs. We have figured out the basics of diplomacy, make friends with everybody, and then, go from there as we get a rubber rush. But as for making diplomatic plays as a small fish in the big pond, that part just keeps not happening. Not happening, unfortunately. Our loyalists have fallen off. I mean, we've lost about 30,000 of those. Our GDP that had flown to 7 million is back down to about 6. Standard of living has also declined. I think some of that is what's on the market is maybe too much of things, and prices are down. I don't know. I haven't looked terribly close at the market in a while, but of course, France probably has a new look from what it was. It's not the same country. That could be changing that market, or as we're getting into later years, they have progressed into other things, and what we're pumping into the market isn't necessarily working terribly well, and we can't grow rapidly enough to keep up with the changing market. That could be part of what's going on, why our GDP is less, why our standard of living is less. We have a struggling population. Could it have anything to do with the radicals? Maybe. Either way, we're hanging in there. We are hanging in there. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm a Decathlon gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.